Bitcoin, NFTs, FTX, these are things that, people have been talking about for a long time, quite a few years actually. Cryptocurrency has been itself a major discussion point in the past few years. Everybody has some sort of opinion on cryptocurrencies, common ones like Bitcoin or Ethereum. And that opinion is usually quite a strong one, Unfortunately, a lot of the excitement that has been out there, a lot of the hype isn't really grounded in the reality of what these things offer. The worst part is they really distract from what the world of blockchain is, what the world of Bitcoin currency offers. And a lot of the excitement that comes out, I'm sure most of you would agree, is coming from people who aren't really that smart. The public perception of things like Bitcoin is usually muddled. It's usually distracted from what it really offers. When people think of crypto or blockchain or Bitcoin, they think of investment value. They think of trading these currencies to make a quick, lucrative return. These things are valid because they are exciting in a way, but they don't even begin to cover what the whole world of Bitcoin is. Trading and asset valuation, the conversion of dollars to Bitcoin, that's a legitimate conversation, but that only covers like a very tiny portion of what the world is. It's an entire vast world. And it's a mistake for us to be so interested in hype as it comes to trading these assets than to focus on what these assets really are and what they really offer us. So it's unfortunate when people only discuss trading and then pass an extreme amount of judgment on it based on just that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of confusion and it needs to be cleared up. People need to understand what Bitcoin really is. We need to make sure that we all have the same understanding here. What is cryptocurrency? We're going to get this out of the way. What is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is a currency, just like dollars or yen or rubies, any other currency you can think of. Cryptocurrency is just like it. What makes cryptocurrency, though, special is that it's decentralized and it's digital, decentralized. What does that mean? It means that no singular person owns the currency. No single person is in control of Bitcoin. It belongs to no country, belongs to no bank, to no person, no authority. That means that everything that is done with cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin is done in a way that divides control among a large amount of people. For example, if you wish to buy something online, you would usually have to use a credit card or a debit card. Because of that, the bank or financial institution that issued you that credit card or debit card would be involved. And they'd actually have quite a bit of control on you. If they decided that they didn't want you to have that transaction, they could cancel it. If somebody decided that they wanted to see your past transactions, they could do that. Your transactions could be traced by that bank. So your transactions, they're easily traceable. You have to involve higher authority. And the worst part is that your purchases could be blocked. They could be blocked by powerful people who are in charge of your bank or have strong influence on the financial institution that issued you your credit card or debit card. However, if you instead used cryptocurrency instead of regular currency, it would be fast, secure, anonymous, and it would be unblockable. Nobody could stop you from having that transaction. And that's the point. That's the purpose. That is the entire supporting need of Bitcoin. That's why cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin were formed. They were created as a way to have secure, reliable financial transactions over the internet. There's a lot of shortcomings with using paper currency like dollars over the internet. Bitcoin was designed to overcome many of those shortcomings. Why most people are excited about crypto. Bitcoin started around 2008 when an anonymous author published a paper that described what Bitcoin would eventually become. It originally was just the idea of a decentralized cryptocurrency that could be used for financial transactions online, anonymous transfer of funds, without having to worry about traceability or blockability or reversibility. When this currency came out in 2008, there was a conversion from dollars to Bitcoin, and that conversion was actually really low. One Bitcoin did not cost much at all in terms of dollars. I think it was like a few cents for one Bitcoin. It was not much at all. However, as the years went on, and Bitcoin became more significant and more widespread, the conversion ratio of a dollar to a Bitcoin gradually changed. It just went up and up and up as time went on. Bitcoins, which were originally worth less than 1 cent, became worth more than $1,000 in less than 10 years. This, of course, makes people think the obvious. What were to happen if I were to purchase some Bitcoin and just wait? Certainly it could be worth maybe $10,000 in the future, or maybe even $1 million. What if I were to buy some cryptocurrency, hold it, and then wait for the price to go up? And then once it did, I sold it. Then I would make a cozy profit. I could get rich. This pathetically obvious and unoriginal thought spread across the financial world. And everybody who ever heard about Bitcoin probably heard about it as an investment mechanism, as a way of getting wealthy quickly. They saw it as this mysterious security, which could turn out to be actually quite a lucrative investment. And that perception stays. I mean, it's here today. You ask anybody, any random person, what they think of Bitcoin, they're going to tell you how they feel about it as an investment opportunity. Today, when people read or hear about Bitcoin, they think of it as an investment mechanism. And any feeling they have on Bitcoin is based on that. It's actually quite rare to find someone who really understands what Bitcoin is, like what the point of Bitcoin is, what the original purpose of this currency was. It's really unfortunate because excitement, and the pursuit of wealth has skewed the public perception of Bitcoin to an almost irreversible level. And that is a very unfortunate thing. And of course, you could trade Bitcoin. That is something you can do. And that's certainly something a lot of people do. And some of them do find quite a bit of success from it. But Bitcoin is not about trading. It's not about investing. Bitcoin is, and always was, solely intended as a way for a decentralized transfer of funds, as a medium of exchange over the internet. Some valid complaints. Now, there are a few valid points to raise. Any economist is going to tell you that a currency has 3 purposes. 1, a unit of account. For example, a person's net worth. We typically report that in dollars. 2, a store of value. You can have dollars and you can store them in a bank account. They're still going to be worth something when you access that bank account again and use that money. 3, a medium of exchange. We use dollars to buy things. A person can give another person dollars in return for a good or a service. Cryptocurrencies are terrible at the first 2. It's no secret that the value of a Bitcoin year to year is wildly volatile. It swings up and down. Last year, I think Bitcoin was worth $100,000. At the moment, it's worth approximately $60,000. That's a massive swing in value. When something doesn't have stable value, it doesn't serve good as a unit of account or as a store of value. So a dollar that is converted to Bitcoin will probably not be worth the same amount once any meaningful amount of time passes. However, when you remember the purpose of Bitcoin and why we have Bitcoin, you realize that's not really a problem. Let's say I wanted to donate to a political candidate's campaign fund, but I didn't want people knowing that I made that contribution because, I don't know, maybe I feared retribution if anybody found out. Maybe I feared people being upset at my contribution. Let's say I have maybe $20 I want to send to a campaign, and I know they accept Bitcoin. They accept that as a form of transaction. I can go to my favorite cryptocurrency exchange and convert $20 to Bitcoin very easily. I will get a certain amount of Bitcoin. That will depend on whatever the value of Bitcoin is at that moment. Once I get it, I can then instantly just transfer that Bitcoin over to whichever organization I wanted to send it to. And if they wish, as soon as they receive it, they may convert that Bitcoin back into dollars, which, if done in a short period of time, would probably be worth almost exactly the same as the amount I converted into Bitcoin originally. So I could send $20 to an organization with no traceability, no reversibility, and it's totally secure. It can't be blocked. And this process will work regardless of whether one Bitcoin is worth a cent or whether a Bitcoin is worth $100 million. It is still a useful, fast, and secure digital currency for transfer of funds over the internet, regardless of whatever the conversion rate is. why we need crypto. It's no secret that there's a lack of privacy in our modern world. There's no privacy. The amount of organizations that are tracking you at this very moment are far too numerous to even count. With that in mind, it isn't hard to imagine the need for a mechanism to have secure financial transactions. Cryptocurrency fills this need very effectively. And people need to understand that when we talk about cryptocurrency, this is the primary benefit. This is the original purpose of things like Bitcoin. In a way, it's quite boring. Like, it's mundane. It's not as interesting as getting wealthy quickly from a trading scheme. But it's usually the boring things in our world that happen to be the most important. And sure, you could trade these things. That's absolutely valid. That's legal, that's allowed. And some people actually do make quite a comfortable return off of their trading schemes. But the sensationalist excitement that deals with trading shouldn't overshadow the main purpose of what these cryptocurrencies offer. Its utility should not be detracted from because there's so much hype around using it as a way of investing. Hopefully, as the system is used by more and more people, confusion can be cleared up and its purpose can be better appreciated. Let's also hope that governments and regulators in our world do better to adapt their policies and their regulations to make it easier and much more seamless for us to use these currencies. Then we can hopefully further integrate cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin into our financial system. Luckily, this has been happening quite a bit in the past recent years. And certainly, if we keep making progress, everybody in the world can benefit from this unique opportunity to make private and secure transactions online.